Right, so I've been getting quite a few comments on videos recently, giving me very nice compliments about the bass tones that I'm achieving, and a few people asking how I'm achieving those bass tones. So I thought I'd just do a little video just to show you how I achieve those tones. So for the last 2 or 3 years, everything's really coming from my pedal board. I've dabbled with plugins and stuff before in the past, but I prefer having something to press, something to turn. I just prefer that sort of more tactile approach. So what I thought I'd do is just show you, my sort of go-to tone, and then strip it back down and show you how, one pedal at a time, how I'm achieving that sound. So here is that sound. So let's strip everything back. We'll take off all the pedals and basically just be left with a boring DI sound. So that's this. So if we add the SansAmp Tech 21 bass DI, first of all, that's basically the amp in this chain. So got a preamp within it and a cab sim that's engaged. The EQ is set relatively flat. I've got the blend control all the way up, and that is basically dialing in the maximum amount of the drive and character knobs. The drive knob is set fairly low, and then the character knob is set such that it's on the slightly darker side of the spectrum. So I'll play and bring that pedal in and out just to show you how that's affecting things. So that's the SansAmp. If we then go back to the front of the pedal board, I'll show you how all the other things are affecting the tone. So we go through the tuner first and then into the bass compressor. So I've got the ratio set to 4. I try and set the input gain so that the gain reduction meter is roughly going to about halfway, maybe just over, and then try and set the output so that it's roughly unity gain. And then attack and release, I've just sort of set to taste really. I'll show you how that one sounds, bringing it in and out. So yeah, compression, one of those things. It's a little bit more of a subtle effect, but I definitely notice when it's not there when I'm playing on gigs. Let's go on to the more exciting part of this whole setup, which is the line selector. So we've got 2 channels, A and B. A is the wah and the rat, and then B is the octave pedal and the EQ pedal. So the reason for 2 channels is the distortion pedal does draw away some of the low end. So channel B with an EQ pedal is there to try and make that back up again. Excuse me. So let's have a look at how all of that sounds. So we'll look at channel A first with the rat in it, and we'll sort of hear how engaging that pedal takes away some low end. And with the rat, I like to set it relatively low. It's only about 9 o'clock on the distortion control, but I just really enjoy the lower gritty sounds you get out of this pedal. So I'll come back to the wah in a little bit, but let's go over to channel B, and then we can hear the EQ pedal and how that's sort of making up that low end, as I said. So I'll play channel B with and without the EQ pedal. Yeah, adding a fair bit of low end with that. When we then combine both of those together, we basically get my go-to tone, really. So here they are both together with no volume. Let's try some volume. Yeah, most of my videos are some variation of that. I might increase or decrease the distortion on the rat just slightly. I might just tweak the filter on the rat just to make it slightly brighter or slightly darker. So let's show you a little bit of that. I'll play with the distortion control first. I rarely go above that, to be honest, because it just turns into a complete fuzz pedal otherwise. Not a bad thing. I just rarely am looking for that sound. But you can go all the way up into this territory. As I said, sometimes I change the filter control, so it might make it a little bit brighter. Or slightly darker. And then with the EQ pedal, I have from time to time just fiddled with that slightly. Due to how capable that EQ pedal is, you can get very lost in the weeds with trying to pinpoint specific frequencies. It's an incredible pedal. It's incredible value for money. It was about £120, I think, from Andertons. And to find a 5-band fully parametric EQ, most pedals were beyond £200. I did a separate video just on this pedal. No talking, just sent a bass loop through it, fiddled with all the controls. If you're really interested in that pedal, go and check that video out. And then in channel A and B, we've also got the wah and the octave pedal. I don't use the octave pedal a huge amount, but I'll just quickly demo that. So I might use it for like the last note of a song for a bit of an emphatic ending when I'm playing live, or just to get out of tuning down to drop D for certain songs. Or if there's a song where there's a 5-string normally playing, you can sometimes get away with the odd 1 or 2 notes using the octave pedal, just clicking it on and off for those couple of notes. But yeah, here's how that one sounds. I'm in two minds as to whether or not I want to keep this pedal on my board, to be honest. I always really struggle with an annoyingly large volume boost when I kick it in. And I've noticed as well, occasionally it doesn't track incredibly well. It's potentially just my playing technique. I'm not really one of these guys who's obsessed with fuzz and octave and getting synth bass sounds or anything like that. So it doesn't get a huge amount of use. I mostly play rock and metal, so yeah, I might swap it out for something else or just get rid of it entirely. And then, yeah, we've got the wah in the other channel. So again, not really much of a clean funk wah player, but I do enjoy a little bit of distorted wah from time to time. So we'll just play you a little bit of that to show you how that sounds. One thing I really like about this setup actually is how having a parallel signal that doesn't have wah in it alongside the signal that has wah in it. Because I find that sometimes if you're doing a distorted wah thing, you step on the wah and you kind of just get lost in the mix sometimes, depending on where you are in the sweep of the wah. So I'll just show you quickly actually. Wah and rat versus wah and rat with the other channel engaged and the low end being retained underneath. So here's just wah and rat without the additional clean signal behind it. And then if we add in the clean low end underneath that. It's hard to not pull faces with your mouth when you're using a wah pedal. Apologies for that. But yeah, I really like how having clean low end sounds underneath the distorted wah. That's basically everything other than the flanger. So let's just quickly play around with that. One of my favourite things to do with the flanger actually is a slightly cleaner tone. And when I want a cleaner tone, I just turn the distortion on the rat pedal down slightly. Doesn't require much of a turn to clean it up from where I have it normally. And then you can get that kind of Jason Newsted, Cunning Stunts, bass solo kind of vibe. Yeah, that's the flanger. I tend not to play around with the settings on that one too much. I just want it for like a almost chorus pedal sounding type of effect. But I did used to have a chorus pedal and I didn't really get on with it too much. So I ended up going for a flanger and I've never looked back. So there is also a TC Electronics Ditto looper on my board. It's not currently kind of wired into everything. But sometimes I stick that at the end of the chain if I'm wanting to play around with some looping, or I put it at the front of the chain if I just want to like fiddle with everything and not have to continue playing. So, you know, send a bass loop through your whole board in your amp, potentially, live at a sound check. And then you can have full reign to fiddle with pedals, fiddle with amp controls, fiddle with bass amp placement, and see how it affects things in the room. But let's try a different bass out, shall we? So here we have the Stingray. The Stingray is a lot brighter. So sometimes I might alter the filter on the Rat to darken it up just a little bit, or fiddle with the controls on the bass itself. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a bit of slap on a Stingray? I'm not much of a slap player, but I feel like it has to be done. One thing a Stingray is great for, with a flanger on your board, is tool style things. So let's go drop D because tool. Right, there we go. That's obviously not a Tool song, but in the style of. And yeah, Stingrays are good fun for the old Rage Against the Machine vibe as well. Yeah, that's the Stingray. We'll keep things moving. We'll go on to the P-Bass. Yeah, as I was saying with the Stingray, sometimes I'll remove a little bit of the high end. I feel like with the P-Bass, it kind of lacks a little bit of low end somehow, because they're quite mid-focused basses, I think. I think occasionally I will boost the low end. One drawback of this kind of pedal board is you've got so many options to change tone. So like if I want a bit more low end, I could just go to the sounds amp and boost the bass knob. I could change the filter knob on the Rat, and then I've got a crazy million bajillion options on the Pentatone EQ as well. So, and then I've got a tone control on the bass, and I've got an EQ on the amp. So sometimes it's just a bit of like, have I got a bit too deep into this whole pedal thing? But yeah, sometimes I think I normally just boost the bass on the sounds amp pedal a little bit, just because that seems like the easiest option. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a summary of how I'm achieving my tones. I suppose some other little things that might. So annoyingly, my camera died right at the end there. I think I'd finished showing you everything I wanted to with the pedals and the basses. The only other thing I was going to add in terms of tone, I suppose strings might be a bit of a factor on the Warwick. For a long time, I've been a big fan of using the Elixir nickel strings, 105 to 45. On my P bass, I've currently got some Dunlop 110 to 50 strings, nickel strings. I always go for nickel strings. I recently had some DR black beauties on the P bass. I had this phase of trying to be obsessed with getting all the hardware black on that bass, so it was just a black and white bass. And those DR black beauties were steel strings, and I just wasn't such a fan of them. So I've just gone back to some nice, cheap and cheerful Dunlop nickel strings. I prefer the 50 to 110 gauge on the P bass because I often tune down half a step in the covers band I play in, and I find that extra gauge helps with that. And on the Stingray, I also sometimes use that in the covers band and go 50 to 110. I've currently got some DR strings on there. I can't remember exactly what they are, but yeah, some kind of DR strings. I'm most likely just going to go back to the Dunlop nickel 50 to 110s on the Stingray as well, to be honest. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I suppose the only other thing, for anyone who cares about playing with a pick, I use, where is it? I use these. It's a Dunlop Tortex Sharp 0.73 millimeters. I made a whole video about how I arrived at this pick. So again, if you're interested in sort of pick playing and pick tones, go check out the video I made about these. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. And if you've got any questions about anything in the video today, let me know down in the comments. All right, thank you very much. See you later.